for our walk in this world.
Good morning. It is Wednesday morning. I hope that day is going great. I hope your week is going great halfway through, and I hope that you are seeing blessings this week. I know it's not Friday, but nevertheless, we're still going to do a song and story today, and I'll do another one on Friday as well. But did you know that Joy to the World, the song Joy to the World, was not written originally as a Christmas carol? In its original form, it actually had nothing to do with Christmas. It wasn't even written even to be a song originally. It was based on a psalm, Psalm 98, first of all. And second of all, it actually really celebrates Christ's second coming more than it does his first coming. This favorite Christmas hymn, one of the most popular, is actually the result of a collaboration of three different individuals, kind of in three different time periods, really, to put together the song that we now sing today, especially at Christmas time. And its initial inspiration, again, was not from Luke chapter 2 and the story that we read as the Christmas story, quote unquote, but actually from Psalm 98, like we said. The first collaborator on this song was an English poet and a dissenting clergyman named Isaac Watts, and we have a number of hymns in our hymnal written by Isaac Watts. He was a great writer and is responsible for a lot of those, but he paraphrased the entire 98th Psalm into two parts. And it first appeared in a famous collection of his writings called the Psalms of David, imitated in the language of the New Testament. That was published in 1719. Joy to the World is taken from the second of those paraphrases of Psalm 98, from the verses 4 through 9, the last part of that psalm. And he entitled that writing, that paraphrase, "The Messiah's Coming and Kingdom." Watts commented on his paraphrase of the Psalms, and he notes, "In these two hymns I formed out of the 98th Psalm, I have fully expressed what I esteem to be the first and chief sense of the Holy Scriptures." You see, for Watts, the Psalms were not supposed to be, for him, they weren't to be viewed necessarily as much as biblical or historical in their own right, but really had more value in as much as they pointed toward Jesus' work in the New Testament. And that was his view on it, and that's how he read this psalm and paraphrased this particular psalm. And so he made that adaptation of Psalm 98. His interpretation of Psalm 98 was a celebration of Jesus' role as both king of his church and of the world itself, and that was how he wrote it when he paraphrased that. And then more than a century later, the second half of this poem that he wrote was adapted a little bit and then set to music, and that's what gives us the song that we sing now every Christmas. Psalm 98 verses 4 through 9 says this: Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Burst into jubilant song with music. Make music to the Lord with the harp and the sound of singing, with trumpets and the blast of the ram's horn. Shout for joy before the Lord, the King. Let the sea resound and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Let the rivers clap their hands. Let the mountains sing together for joy. Let them sing before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. And he will judge the world in righteousness and the peoples with equity. And he paraphrased all that to the song Joy to the World. Now, the third stanza of that song actually is kind of an exception to that. It doesn't seem to fit with Psalm 98, verses 4 through 9. And really, in that verse, that third stanza is no more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow far as the curse is found. And that curse is actually a reference to Genesis chapter 3, verse 17. That's where the Lord told he told Adam, "Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life." And so he's referring to that particular curse in Genesis 3:17 rather than Psalm 98 in that third stanza. That's kind of a side note there on that. So the second collaborator was actually none other than George Frederick Handel. Handel was a famous composer, popular. He was German-born, but he resided in London. And Watts and Handel didn't collaborate together. They didn't get together on this hymn and put it together. Another contemporary pieced together portions of Handel's Messiah, one of his famous compositions, to make up the tune that we sing here in North America. The opening bars of the chorus of Handel's Messiah, "Lift up your heads," that was adapted to the phrase or the part of the song, "Joy to the world." And then an instrumental portion of the opening tenor, "Comfort ye," that part of Handel's Messiah. And if you're familiar with it, I'm not super familiar with it, but that part of that, again, that composition, "Comfort ye," that provides the basis for the text, "Heaven and nature sing." And so they pieced together those different parts of that song, that composition of Handel's, to make the tune that we sing for Joy to the World. And that was common to do that. It was common to borrow those things. And the notion of that being that the music of great musicians had in itself an innate beauty and great, even and it made sense to put those together to create some of these beautiful songs, and would result in a higher quality song whenever they did that. And so then there's a third collaborator, that made this song possible. And he assured that this tune and text would appear together in the United States. And he was a Boston music educator. His name was Lowell Mason. And it was Mason. He was a musician with a lot of influence in his day. And he published his own arrangement of Handel's melodic fragments in a writing called Occasional Psalms and Hymn Tunes. And he named the tune that he put together, he named it Antioch. Well, that's not the only tune that Joy to the World that Watts' text is sung to. It is actually the most dominant tune that Joy to the World is sung to. And actually that tune, that Antioch tune that he put together, that we know is virtually unknown in Great Britain. They sing it to a completely different tune. And so the result of all of this, Watts and the writings, the compilation or composition of Handel and Lowell Mason putting these things together, is the result now of a favorite Christmas hymn based on an Old Testament psalm set to musical fragments composed in England and pieced together across the Atlantic in the United States. And now we have a great Christmas song, Joy to the World. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat, repeat the sounding joy. Hope this encourages you today. Hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about Joy to the World. I hope you have a great day today, and we'll look forward to talking some more tomorrow.
They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope.